Yeah, if I'm fly fishing, yeah, it's probably more common than it should be that I come home empty-handed. Yeah, definitely. It's especially when it's like that time of the year. When this year's extra special because it's this time of the year and the river is already in flood, which really stack the odds against me. But yeah, no, it can go either way with fly fishing. It's so sensitive to conditions and there's 100 different things it can depend on, so yeah, you can easily go home with nothing. They're both good.
Me and Dean have known each other for a few years now, but we've mainly known each other through work. We cross paths regularly through work and sometimes just in the area where we live. And whenever we see each other, we start talking about fishing and the conversation comes up about we should go out and do some fishing. And then life kind of gets in the way, and mainly for me really, because I make other things the priority. And Dean tends to go out fishing, he invites me along and I say I can't on that time, but I will next time. So I'm just trying to change that. We seem to have the same love for fishing, and I think it's because we both did a lot of fishing when we were kids and when we were younger. We used to do a lot of carp fishing and night fishing where we would stay down at the fishing lake for a few days or maybe a week. Even though we weren't quite old enough to be living on our own full time, we was just sort of at that age where you could go to the fishing lake, stay there for a few nights, and just get a bit of independence and time on your own and time away from home. Now we've both got a bit older. I mean, Dean's not quite as old as I am, but I think now we're older, life can get busy, work kind of takes over, and you tend to put other things first. Certainly I do. I'm very focused on work and being motivated to work and get jobs done, doing tasks, and leisure time really just doesn't seem to take the priority. But I think it's about time that I start to change that a little bit. I have been very dedicated and focused to work for many years now, and I'm trying to make a little bit of a shift in the balance of that, where I spend a bit more time doing leisurely stuff and a bit more time spent on the hobbies and interests I have outside of work. Dean has been way more proactive with the fishing in recent years than I have, doing fly fishing and spinning and just a big range of different types of fishing in this area, in the lakes and rivers. And it's very kind of him to indulge me and invite me along, because I know it can sometimes slow you down when you bring someone else along and they're a little bit slower and not quite up to the same stage you're at, and that's kind of where we are. So I'm grateful for him bringing me along and sort of showing me the spots and giving me the help I need. I never really did fly fishing when I was younger. It was always like the holy grail of fishing for me. And now to be living in an area where you can actually go to some of these spots and do fly fishing, it's just a real privilege. And I have taken that for granted in the last few years and just not really made the most of it. So this season, this summer, I am dedicated and motivated to get out and learn the skill and the sport of fly fishing and just experience it really, and hopefully catch some nice fish in the process. This being our first day going out fly fishing this year, and also it being very early in the season, the water was very high. I think Dean knew in advance that the fishing might not be the best that it can be. We went to a spot that Dean knows of, and the scenery was just spectacular. I mean, you had mountains in the background with snow on, the river looked beautiful, there was some wildlife around. It was just a lovely spot. Dean had a few casts there. I think he actually saw some fish rising and there was some activity, but the conditions with the water flow didn't seem like it had that much potential to be catching many fish. Dean decided to move on a bit, so we moved up the bank. After walking along the bank for a little while, there was another spot that looked quite good. So we set up there for a little while, and Dean went out into the water and had a few more casts. For me, it was just lovely to be there and getting that nostalgia feeling from fishing when I was younger. And although this is a different type of fishing, just being by the water's edge, having a rod and casting out the line, seeing the wildlife, it's just, I guess it's just something that gets into your system. And if you do fishing or you've ever done fishing, you probably understand. This wasn't the longest day of fishing, and after a few hours we started to head back. On the way we come across this beautiful old railway bridge. The water was running really well in this spot, and there was some rocks and some stuff that was making the water kind of trickle over, and it just created a bit more noise than some other spots of the river where we'd been earlier on that day. So I asked Dean if he would be kind enough to wade out close to where the water was rippling and bubbling with the microphone so we could get some capture some of the sound. Difficult for me to tell if Dean was that happy with it or not, but he did it anyway, and the sound was great, so I'm happy and grateful that he did that. Also, while we were there, we were sort of pointing around to the area where there's some other good spots for fly fishing as the season moves on a little bit and the water gets a bit lower. So just a stunning place really, with the bridges and the river and all the wildlife around. So I think it's going to be a good season. I'm really looking forward to getting some kit together, getting some practice with the fly fishing.
This year's extra special because it's this time of the year and the river is already in flood, which really stacked the odds against me. But yeah, no, it can go either way with fly fishing. It's so sensitive to conditions, and there's 100 different things it can depend on. So yeah, you can easily go home with nothing, but you can also go home with 20 fish that you've caught really easily. So each time you go out, you're not going to get worse, and you just hope for being able to nail it on the day. You get a day where everything falls into place and it's just nice and easy for you. And also, if you go out and catch a decent fish, you want to feel like part of it for me is felt like I've put in the effort and earned it, if you like. You know, you don't want to just, if you just rocked up on your first time fly fishing and caught a fish of a lifetime, I wouldn't want to do that either. I would have had to put the groundwork in. Now I feel like I've probably put a little bit too much groundwork in and I should be getting those results. But I just keep telling myself that it'll come. When you're a beginner, you just want to catch fish, and that can be quite easy to do with fly fishing, because small fish are much easier to catch. You can find there are a lot of small fish, a lot more. They're competing for food, especially in the summer when there's a lot of insects and they're all uprising for them. Then it can be really easy to catch a lot of smaller fish. But if you want to target big fish, it gets really hard, and it's hours, hundreds of hours of fishing to do that.